Welcome to our TR7 Application Security Platform Frequently Asked Questions video series. In this video, I will demonstrate how to install the virtual TR7 image on ESXi. By default, TR7 virtual images come with 10 cores, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and 202 gigabytes of disk space. Core and RAM values can be increased through the virtualization platform. The disk space can be adjusted via the TR7 web management interface after the installation, depending on the needs. There are no limits on the number of network interfaces, core counts, or memory for virtual TR7 devices. However, usage is limited by the TR7 license on the system. To start, navigate to Virtual Machines, Create Register VM in the ESXi interface. Click the button Deploy a Virtual Machine from an OVF or OVA file and select the TR7 image files .mf, .nvram, .ovf, and .vmdk provided by the TR7 support team, then follow the remaining steps in sequence. Finally, click the Finish button to start the import process. In the Recent Tasks section, wait for the upload to reach 100% and for the VM to power on. For a cluster setup, wait for the completion of 2 different import processes. Once the import is complete, open the TR7 VM console and log in using the username setup and the password TR7setup. Follow the steps for language selection, network interfaces, setup. This will provide a list of the network interfaces added during the installation. Here, you can name the interfaces and configure their usage. Click on the first interface, name it MGMT, and select Management Interface as its usage type. If configuring as a cluster, you should assign the Sync interface. Select Sync as the interface usage type. The interfaces designated as Sync should be assigned to an empty vSwitch on ESXi without an uplink connection, ensuring that all synchronization processes between the 2 TR7 devices occur over a closed network. The remaining interfaces can be named as desired. The interface names and usages will be displayed on the screen as per the actions taken. By selecting Rescan Hardware, the defined and configured interfaces are activated. Return to the Management menu and select Restart Management to activate the configuration service. To access the TR7 interface, assign an IP address to the MGMT interface and restart the configuration service. Finally, reboot the TR7 virtual device. You can access the TR7 web management interface by making a request to the assigned IP address on port 80 or 443 of the MGMT network interface, and log in using the credentials admin/admin. For license activation, if the installation is performed in an offline environment, navigate to Settings, General Settings, License, and send the device ID to the TR7 support team. Then, follow Settings, General Settings Update to enter the update server address. The license ID and license key sent by the TR7 support team can be entered by clicking the Update License Manually button to complete the activation. If license activation is to be done online, follow Settings, General Settings, Device DNS to define the DNS. Then proceed to Settings, General Settings, Update to enter the update server address. Finally, go to Settings, General Settings, License to send the device ID to the TR7 support team. Once the license has been defined by the TR7 support team, click Download License to complete the activation. If the installation is configured as a cluster, the same steps should be applied to the other TR7 device. To configure the cluster, follow Settings, Device Management Cluster on both TR7 devices. Define Cluster ID 1 for the master device and Cluster ID 2 for the slave device. On the master device, navigate to Network Interfaces. To open the edit screen for the MGMT IP address and enter the MGMT IP address of the slave TR7 device in the second column. Next, go to Settings, Device Management, Local Services to restart the configuration services on both devices. Finally, click the Sync button on the cluster screen to complete the cluster configuration. Thank you for watching, and see you in our other videos.